And thank you for joining us on this week's episode of the Miles Offside podcast, where one American and one Brit try to talk about the Premier League but often get distracted. My name is Oscar Puente, the host with the most, and I am joined by my very, very good friend Chuck Bailey.
Ian, can you sort out the production value on the music? It was really tinny just then.
Yeah,
what was that?
Yeah. Oh, that was from my phone. Ian is going to hate that.
Oh, Ian's not here.
Ian's not here,
if you
no.
couldn't tell already.
Yeah, I even just hit pause on the
Oh,
thing.
no. I realised it was a hard cut out, which is even better now because we're going to reference it so much. So,
Ian can't
in a
cut
way,
this at all.
it's can't cut this. Down. Can't cut this.
I even forgot that I'm supposed to be doing a new intro and then started with the old one, tried to switch halfway through and just kind of blended the two.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, these are parameters you put on yourself.
None
of us expect it. You're fine to do just what you wish. But we're back. We're back to talk about the World Cup again. Have we been slack? Maybe. Have we been on the slack? Definitely. That's the real quiz. Join us, patreon.com/Miles Offside Pod. Give us loads of money. Wish us a Merry Christmas and come join the lovely slack. There you go. There's a plug up front.
Nice.
Oscar, have you been watching more of the World Cuppage?
Yes.
How are you feeling about it now? We're in this bleak period where
Fucking
we've
terrible.
had no games for 2 days.
Yeah, I know. I'm like shaking. I have the shakes. It's been really bad. People at work are doing work, which is confusing. It's been really funny actually tracking it as we go through the World Cup. It started off like when there was like 9 games a day during the group stages. They were all during the workday here in the US.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I would be watching at my desk on my phone with like the screen face down so I could just hear it, like listening while I was doing work. By a few days in, it's like, yeah, all right, I have my phone propped up. Then I had it on my laptop, but like on a second tab so I could click away quickly. But then you would hear like people down the hallway going, oh, and you're like, well, I know what you're reacting to.
And then by the last games of the group stage, you were double screening.
Oh, yeah. By the time the Japan kickout happened, it was like a whole bunch of people were just gathered around one screen, just openly cheering and watching and going nuts. And like my department head, who's like not even a sports fan on any level whatsoever, really, at least it doesn't seem like, she might be a basketball fan. Anyway, was like, so these penalty kicks were not great from Japan, right? And I'm like, yes. So it's just like all pretenses of work while the soccer is on have slowly faded. It's been nice. It's been a bonding experience with the people at work because I'm like the go-to soccer guy, right? So like,
let's take that as a jumping off point because obviously the US did get out of the groups and sadly got knocked out of the round of 16 by the Netherlands. How has it all been received over there? Because obviously there is this kind of groundswell for soccer. But there's been kind of mixed reports about the Usment, especially compared to the success of the Us Went.
That's just the US. They're the US and the guys are the Usment.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
There we go. Knowledge. So how's it been? How's it felt? What's been the reception?
I think from like soccer knowledgeable fans, it has very much been like we were glad to get out of the group with such a young squad and a relatively tricky group with Wales in there. Turns out they weren't that good, but
no shit.
I think, especially looking back at the Slack, like nobody had the US getting out of the groups. Thanks, Patreons. Shout out you guys. But
there's some of them are American as well.
I know. Well, we have no confidence in the US either. So like, you got to take the like positive spin on it that like they're such a young squad. Most of those guys are below 23. So getting out of the groups was nice. They got some experience. They looked good. They played England pretty even, which is like, I think pretty impressive for such a young squad.
They really well against England. They really did.
The coach made a lot of like good decisions that were not just like run out the same lineup in the same tactical setup every week, which is risky, like at the international level. But he did good. So I think knowledgeable soccer fans are like really happy. I think like super, super casual fans are like, yeah, the US played and they played against England. That's a big country. And so they just like, that's all they kind of know. And then your mid-level fans probably wanted to see us go further, but were like, the boys looked good. It's been overwhelmingly positive, I think, the reaction. Obviously, everyone wanted them to go further, but, you take the silver linings where they are. How's it been for England? The mighty, mighty England into the quarters.
Into the quarters, as we fairly expected, as you predicted, indeed, out in the quarters on penalties.
Yeah, it's coming.
Obviously against France, but we'll get to that. I've been critical of Southgate based on the past and my eyes and what I've seen. I don't enjoy the football we've played, but then at this tournament, it all seems to be working against the opposition we have played. I think we're close to being, one of the top scoring teams in there. 3 clean sheets on the bounce, but this next game is kind of the biggest test for both of those teams. The media, the kind of treatment of it, as you can imagine, has just been all about Mbappe.
Yeah, rightly so.
And how do you stop him? What is the perfect foil for him? How do you do that? But, without realising, there's a lot of very good other players in the French squad.
Just a few.
We talked about it last time, comparing, Brazil and France. I don't think England have as stratospheric, at the moment anyway, a player as Mbappe is. But, still do have a bloody good squad. And France are obviously really great, and they're the two favourites, two of the favourites, really. You'd expect them, whomever probably wins that, to then beat whoever comes out of Portugal versus Morocco.
I think you'll find that whoever wins France-England is going to go on to lose to Morocco on their glorious journey to the final and the win.
Oh, right. And then we're going to have one of those really, really terrible finals that ends out 6-0.
Yeah, that's right.
That's because it's just a massive mismatch. And yeah. But yeah, I don't necessarily think anyone's necessarily getting too carried away either way. It's, if England do go out to France, it will be disappointing because it's the quarterfinals, but it's not disappointing because it's France. They're the reigning champions. They are bloody, bloody good. And so, it's kind of mixed. I'm still not necessarily too het up in it. It still feels really weird. I still just can't, as much as I joked at the start about there being 2 days of no football, it hasn't felt like football's missing. Oh,
I have. But that's because I'm actually doing work at my work.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Although it was all during work hours here. There was games at 10, 1 and 3. 4? 10, 1 and 4, yeah. But yeah, anyway, that's the England of it all. What about? One of your teams got through.
Yeah, thanks. I was wondering. You made it 11 minutes and 40 seconds on the recording track at least before bringing it up. Shall we talk about Germany a little bit before we get to the round of 16 matches?
Yeah. You can. At any point, you can pull the Belgium ripcord on the parachute. So at any time, if the fall is getting too fast down Germany Valley, you can pull that Kevin De Bruyne parachute.
It did help also seeing Luis Suarez crying his little eyes out on the bench. That was quite nice.
A prick. Oh my God. Andre Ayew got a penalty and missed it.
Oh.
He was the only player left from 2010. And they gave him the penalty, and it was just awful.
Oh.
But they were still celebrating because Uruguay went out.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, that was good. Germany, look, 4 years ago, Germany were bad. And they made bad decisions with the personnel. They made bad tactical decisions, and they got thoroughly outplayed and deserved to go out at the groups. And that sucked. That hurt. That was a lot of KFC buckets, drowning my sorrows. This time around, I'm more angry than sad.
Okay.
Because there's a sense of I'm a stats guy, and they had the best underlying numbers of the group stage. It wasn't even close. They had by far the best. They had, I think, the most XG and the second least XG conceded in the group stages or something like that. So for them to go out is just rub salt on the wound. There's a sense of cosmic injustice in that they played really, really, really well. And didn't get the results. But at the same time, you lose to Japan in the first game. You have to win out. And they didn't beat Spain. And so, you get what's coming. It sucks. It sucks. I'm mad about it. I'm big mad. But,
Yeah, Japan were really a star turd in that group, albeit, they managed to beat Spain and Germany, but lose to Costa Rica.
In it.
No team won all three of their games in the World Cup groups, which is really weird to think. I think it was the first time since about the 60s or 70s.
Wow. Well, Brazil rested
happened.
their players for the third match. Otherwise, they probably would have swept the group.
Yeah, probably. They did actually, didn't they? They changed the whole 11. They're now the first team to use 26 different players in a World Cup because they subbed on their third goalkeeper the other night.
It's good to let him get, now he gets to tell his grandkids he played at the World Cup. Like, that's nice.
His name is Weatherton.
Weatherton.
Germany, bad.
Yeah, I don't know. What's your take? Your like more objective take? Actually, you're not objective. You fucking hate Germany. You're English, so never mind.
I don't really. I have more of a disdain in a sporting way for Germany because there's a brilliant video that's doing the rounds from I can't remember which, but I think it's Indian news channel where they talk about how Germany you shouldn't be sad for them because they're the absolute dream breakers. I've seen this. Decades. Yeah. Really, really funny and well thought out video. And there's a famous quote from Gary Lineker that football is a simple game. It's 22 men playing at the end of 90 minutes, the Germans win. So in a sporting sense, shit happens. I did think, much like with Spain, who went on to then lose in the round of 16 and their coaches quit following their penalty knockout to Morocco, that they're still kind of finding their feet.
Yeah.
There's the simple reductionist thing of when Spain versus Germany played, like, no striker or whatever, but I don't think either of those teams at any point played bad football. It's just unfortunate. And as you said before, you can have the stats, but in 3 games, you make a real rod for your back if you don't win the first.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so any team that did that, was then kind of struggling from then on. Just had to then go all out in that last game. And obviously there was a beautiful 3 minutes. I was in a supermarket and there was a beautiful 3 minutes where it was Japan and Costa Rica going through.
Yes. It's been a while since we recorded, but those last rounds of group games were so exciting.
Yep, and it won't happen next World Cup. Unlucky. Because of 16 groups of 3 where they play a penalty shootout before the game or something in case of a tiebreaker. Yes.
That might be real. I don't know.
That's like a legit proposal of how they'll make sure teams don't, they'll settle tiebreakers. They'll do the penalty shootout before the game starts.
That's one of the dumbest. Well, whatever. Fuck.
Yeah.
That's okay. Of course.
Yeah. FIFA, piece of shit. So there's lots of chaos happened. Lots of upside downsies. Obviously, you just mentioned about Cameroon, Brazil, Uruguay, Ghana was absolute chaos. Tunisia winning against France.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, it was insane. Obviously, US getting through. Qatar being officially the shittest team at the tournament. Congratulations, worst host nation ever for so many reasons, including especially sporting wise in this situation. A tier for Canada.
Man, they were so good and they didn't get anything.
Nothing. They had the best, speaking of unjust stats, they had the best XG differential in that group and they finished last.
Yeah, that makes
with 0 points.
Right.
Just behind the dark horses of the tournament. Belgium. Yeah. LOL, Belgium.
R.I.P. Eden Hazard retired now from international duty.
You could have told me he retired before the tournament started. He was that shit. I don't have anything really to say about Belgium. I don't want to. They are annoying and stupid, and they played weird. So that's it. There's your group stages. How about, round of 16, there was some incredibly tight games in there, and then there was Brazil 4-1. Portugal 6-1. Yeah, I kept blinking and goals.
I missed that one. I was actually working, which was frustrating. But I don't care about Portugal. But when I came back and saw that who had been benched and his replacement got a hat trick, I was like, oh, okay, maybe I like Portugal now, actually.
Vibes, such good vibes because the dickhead did the same thing, and was just like pissing off the manager because he's pissed off about getting subbed or trying to leave early or whatever. Like, bro, fuck off.
Yeah, and get in the bin for all of the reasons, but even athletically now, which obviously shit person, many bad things, but like sports wise, you have to give him credit. He's one of the greatest players of all time. But not anymore. He's below average at best.
Yeah, and he's being touted as literally like a $1.5 million a week contract in Al Nassr. I can't remember where that is. Forgive me, which league they play in. But yeah, that's where he's at now.
And that doesn't even count all the times he's going to win the lottery.
Yeah, in the in the Carlos Tevez triangle of, hey, I'm going there for a holiday and to get paid a fuckload of money.
Yeah.
Dickhead. Anyway, personally, I think Portugal are great. Like I said this before, they are a really, really good team and squad apart from him. And so this doesn't surprise me. I wonder if it's a bit like too much too soon. Like we do see this of a team, it's all about shining at the right time. And we do see teams sometimes go a bit early. Like, was this Portugal's chance? Who knows? But fuck it. Let's go more general. What do you think's going to happen from here on in? We've got Brazil, Croatia, Netherlands, Argentina. These are tomorrow as we record. Unlucky Ian. Then Portugal, Morocco, and England, France on Saturday.
Yeah.
What's your do you have any hot takes of any of these?
Where do you
see uptakes?
Okay. I think Croatia are bad, but they made it to the finals being not that good last time.
Interesting.
They were really lucky that Japan had never taken penalty kicks or practiced them in their lives at any point.
Oh my god, yeah, those were really, really bad.
Those were the worst penalties. Some of the worst penalties I've ever seen.
They were so tired. Bless them.
Yeah, you could tell because they kicked it real slow.
They just had nothing. They just had nothing left. Just their legs just swung, like they had no control below the hip.
Yeah, it was sad, but I don't think Croatia deserved to be there. I hope Brazil just destroy them. I'm looking at in that side of the bracket probably Argentina, Brazil. I don't think that's a hot take on any level, but Netherlands, Croatia have not impressed. Netherlands played the US about even, but had better finishing because the finishing pixie, but XG wise they were pretty close. I think if I remember. And Argentina have had the best defense, I think, in the tournament. So I don't see Netherlands doing much there. Croatia don't. Brazil are just so strong.
Yeah.
You got to think it's the South American semifinal on that side. I don't know. Where are you at on that side?
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. Croatia have the potential to just do it again, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, they do.
They're so intelligent and so experienced and just very, very good at game management. Very, very good at it. And we've seen that in the last World Cup. And we've seen it here as well, that they can just grind it out. So against the Brazil side that whilst is very, very good and very talented, are there elements of that necessarily, they've had a lot of hard luck in the last couple of tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
This is almost certainly the longest they've ever been without a win. It's definitely the most years without a South American win in the World Cup.
Yeah, because 2002 was the last time a South American team won it, and it was Brazil, right?
Yeah, exactly.
20 years.
Before that, it literally, because there was a conspiracy theory, it alternates every tournament, South America, Europe, who won, from 62 to 2006. I think we're kind of seeing that because as much as there's definitely the celebration police of, oh, look at them doing their stupid dances, they're playing Korea, blah, blah, blah.
Don't talk about Ian that way. He's not here to defend himself.
They did 4 laps of honour. It's good to see they're kind of shaking that off because in the last few tournaments we've seen that it's just been injure Neymar and they're probably going down. Now it's just been injured Neymar, oh shit, Richarlison has gone Super Saiyan.
Yeah, look at his hair, you can tell.
Yeah, he's great. He's great. He's lovely. We love him.
We're not even talking about Vinicius Jr. when he's having the tournament. That just goes to show how strong Brazil have been.
Yeah. So, on balance, ultimately, I do think Brazil go through, and I think Croatia probably make it difficult. Whether they can push it to full time, who knows? But I think if Brazil get another big statement win there, if Brazil get like a 3-0 or like a 4-1 or something mad like that, then that's huge. And then I'd expect them to beat Argentina in the next round.
The only thing I would say to that, and this might be a hot-ish take actually, is that I think Messi is the best player at the World Cup so far. He's been doing everything at an elite level, like Messi, not even recent Messi, but like a few years ago Messi. He's creating, he's dribbling, he's shooting, he's doing all of the things. He's both receiving the ball like crazy in the penalty area and passing the ball into the final third like crazy and dribbling the ball into the final third like crazy and getting shots. So like just all of the things.
I would
and when Messi's in that form, like what? You can't do anything.
It has felt from watching. I'd agree in all the games apart from the first game. In the first game, I think he was pretty bad. From what I recall, I don't know any specifics. I think I'd agree with you in that he's been the most drag his team up, like drag them through it. Almost. I think in terms of flourish on the top and just take them to the next level of excellence, like I don't think you could say it isn't Mbappe's been the best at this tournament.
Yeah, I mean that's probably the more popular pick.
5 goals, 2 assists in a very good and a very well-performing France team.
Richarlison would probably be another name that people would throw out.
Yeah, I'd agree. In more of the Mbappe vein, I guess that he's shone in a really good team in a really good situation. That's not to say Argentina are bad. Like it's just I need to find something to say. Otherwise, this podcast would be like 3 minutes. It'd be like, "Hello, thanks to Patreons, goodbye." Some might prefer that, but who knows? So yeah, I think I do. See, now thinking about it, everything I said about Croatia, maybe we could say the same about Netherlands with Argentina. Like I think that's a really interesting match.
Mm-hmm.
I think that side of the bracket is interesting in that way that they could just be well thought out kind of attritional affairs. If I'm being honest, I think Morocco had their kind of day in the sun, and then this one they'll probably lose 2-0.
Yeah.
As much as I don't like it, Portugal are really, really good. But I'd be surprised if Morocco could then get through to the semi-final. And England, France.
That's the big one. That's the big one. We could spend a half hour on this one. Not that we should, but
I mean, aside from Spain, Germany in the groups, I guess this is the biggest matchup we've had.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's huge, and it's obviously massively affects like the betting odds and stuff like that. Because at the minute, if you look at who's going to win the tournament, bookies have Brazil as favourites at almost 2-1. 17-10, I believe. Then you've got France at 4-1 and England at 6-1. But obviously, whomever wins this game, then their odds kind of would tumble. My honest take on this is, I think it's a case almost of whichever manager blinks first is probably going to be the one that loses it. Like that's, I know we mentioned before about the discourse in England, but I think that was a fear from the second we'd got through against Senegal was we've got France. Is Southgate going to go to 3 at the back?
Yeah.
Is he going to change what he's done? Are we now going to rely on Kyle Walker to wrap him up? Who do we bring in there? Honestly, based on how the tournament's played, I don't think anyone should necessarily change. I think it would be silly to go to 3 at the back after playing well, because you just invite so much more pressure onto yourself. And if you do that to France, they're really fucking good. And we're fucking good going forward. Like, you look at our front 6 and Jordan Henderson aside, they're all very, very good attacking players. And then you look at our bench and everyone coming off a bench is very good attacking players. So I think it's more maybe a change in play style rather than a change in formation. Like I can see Saka being used and having to drop back a bit more to kind of double up on that side where Mbappe would be with Kyle Walker. I can also see Kane dropping a bit deeper to kind of occupy the midfield with maybe like Rashford and Foden playing on the other side, and then kind of being like inverted wingers, playing on the counter that way. And likewise with France, there's talk of them changing the way they play weirdly. And I just don't think either team has necessarily done anything to warrant wanting to change it at this point. And I know people will be listening to this saying, oh, but you said England have played really boring and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, yes, they have against Wales and against the US and, for the first half against Senegal. Like, those are all true things, and everything leading up to this tournament, England have been fucking awful. Let's not forget that they got relegated from the Nations League. They were playing really bad football, dull, Hodgson-esque football. But there's a difference then between playing, France and being smart with it and being overly cautious and being able to be picked off by a different team. So I don't see us necessarily needing to change anything. But I don't know, what are your thoughts on that?
I think tactically both of these teams are happy to play a team of the setup of their opponent. Like France don't want the ball.
Nope.
They don't even press.
They don't press. It's so weird, isn't it?
They just let you have the ball, and then they're like, "Go ahead, come towards us." And now we're gonna have an Mbappe go behind you, and it works. It's like, it's terrifying. So I think that France will be very happy to let England have the ball and build it up slow. And I think England generally like a team that doesn't do it up them. Like if you look at the blueprint of how the US did really well against England. It was pressing. It was getting the ball back in the midfield. It was not giving Declan Rice any time to pick out passes and stuff.
Yep. That's a very good point.
Which is not what France is going to do. So I think that, like, on paper, if you change the name, both of these teams would be happy to be playing the other team. But I also think that, like, England doesn't want France and France doesn't want England. They'd much rather have, your Moroccos or your Portugals or your less pragmatic teams, let's say.
Yeah.
I think that's going to combine to a fucking terrible, unwatchable, boring match. Of course, it's going to finish 5-4 now because I said that, obviously.
Oh, yeah. Every time. I think the exact same. I think it's going to be really dull, attritional, awful, slow.
It's going to be the Simpsons meme of soccer.
All of our games have basically been like that, yeah. But, egg on my face. I've also said that about every other game, so I'll probably get the wrong way around. But
fair enough.
It has been a weird World Cup that you're right. Like England-France would probably you'd be fine with it in a semi-final, maybe because you're closer, even though the pain hurts that much more. But you look at the bracket, the amount of quote-unquote big teams that didn't get through, or the situation, like if something weird had happened and France had finished second in the group, they'd have been on the other side of the bracket, and had Argentina in that round, and then England, now we'd be talking about England, Australia, and Portugal, Morocco on one side, and Brazil, Croatia, France, Argentina on the other, probably. France, Netherlands, sorry, on the other side. So, such fine margins because of what's happened before, but, it's created some mismatches in there, like Portugal against Switzerland and probably Brazil against Korea, just because of the nature of the thing. But, yeah, I think both teams will be disappointed to get each other now because they'll both really fancy their chances, but also it's that classic thing of if you do actually want to be the best, you've got to beat the best.
Yeah, absolutely. Or not in the cases of Spain and Germany, who are both out now because they couldn't beat each other, among other things.
Yeah. Well, they knew they wanted to be the best, just they didn't do the other bit.
So do you
winning.
Money to your mouth where your money, gun to your head, is England going to be playing in the semifinal?
It got violent very quickly. Fuck me. It's such a coin toss.
I know, it really is. So just because it's a podcast, so you have to give an answer.
Yeah, I guess. Here's what I'll say, because Jeff's prediction game and my World Cup bracket, I had England winning, and in Jeff's prediction game, I'm the only person out of 30 people who had England in the first pot, where it was England, France, Brazil, Argentina, the big teams.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the only person in that picked England, and so I'll stick by it. and I think England can go through.
Fair enough.
I think France, they've escaped the reigning champion curse so admirably for so long, but it's got to catch up with them at some point.
Yeah, no one repeats. That's facts.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking whoever wins this is going to lose to the other team, the other matchup. That's my hotter take on this side of the bracket, is that it'll be Morocco or Portugal in the final. I genuinely mean that. Yeah, I mean that.
You are insane.
I know. But, it's not the 4 favorites every time. There's always an upset somewhere in the later rounds. And I think that this is the side that is...
But
like
has this World Cup used up all its upsets?
Maybe.
There's been a lot.
There really has been.
A lot.
We talked about this last time, and it just only got more. Like, it's been a boring World Cup in terms of the soccer, but a really dramatic World Cup in terms of the crazy results. That was less true on the last day of the group, but...
Who went out on yellow cards?
Did anyone this time? We had 4 of the last 5 World Cups. Someone went out on yellow cards.
I've got Mexico in my head as they went out on yellow cards.
No, they were like a minute away, but then they conceded a goal in stoppage time.
Oh, that was it.
We were close to that happening. That was
close.
Another really exciting last day of the groups.
Mm.
Just watching 2 games and goals getting scored here and goals getting scored there, and who's going through keeps changing every 5 minutes. That was really fun. That was actually quite fun, I will say.
Yeah. Well, we hardly knew you. Okay, so Oscar thinks it's a Morocco-Brazil World Cup final.
Argentina, Portugal. Oh my God.
No.
Yes. And then he sits on the bench and watches Messi score a hat trick to win his World Cup. Oh, please. Oh, that would be the best thing ever. That's what I'm rooting for. That's what I want. So that's what I'm saying.
Okay, then. Argentina, Portugal final. I'll go England, Brazil. And that is that. Speaking of England, obviously we just want to shout out, there was bad news amongst all of the bad news at this World Cup that there has been, human rights, Jesus Christ, the list goes on. All the migrant issues, a migrant death the other day, to which the CEO or whatever prick he is in charge of the World Cup basically just says, oh, well, death is a part of life. Like, no, not when you're kind of to blame with it and your poor practices have caused that, for fuck's sake. We also just want to shout out and send all of our best wishes and love to Raheem Sterling.
Oh, yeah, right.
And his family, after he obviously flew home early from the tournament after his house was robbed by armed people. Hopefully, his family were there at the time. I think it's exactly the right thing for him to do, to go home. I know also Ben White went home, not sure what it just said for personal reasons, so hope everything's okay with him as well. And yeah, just good vibes. Be love. And love one another. Love yourselves and each other. I'm hoping this means that Ian has put in the outro music as I talk, because I'm rambling. Or
he put in the quiz music because do 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 do. I have a quiz ready.
What?
Shall we quiz?
How?
Just go along with it.
Okay,
I'm
along with it.
Question the first. What is your name?
Full name?
Yeah.
Original name? Charlie Bailey.
Ding ding, point to Chuck. Question the second. What day is it?
Of the week? Thursday?
Ding ding, point to Chuck. Question the third. What is my favorite soccer team?
The Chelsea Football Club.
Very good. Ding, ding, ding. Point to Chuck. And for the big win, who was the best team in the group stages?
The best team?
Mm-hmm.
Or subjectively?
Answer the question.
Canada.
Ding, ding. Point to Chuck. That is a quiz. I had a quiz prepared. I'm annoyed that I had to do all the work for the quiz and it didn't happen, so I'm giving you a point that puts Chuck at 5-3 in the season standings.
Hang on, we've only done 8 quizzes. We're really slack at this.
Yeah, it's been really hard to all 3 of us get on at the same time this year. And that's only going to get worse because my Rocket League coaching season starts soon.
Nightmare. This is how it all falls apart at the seams. Well, I guess he started the outro music now, or he's just cut all of that out of protest. Probably recorded an editor's note saying, "Oh, I wasn't there because I wasn't feeling well," and something about a fish. Say goodbye, Mr. Oscar Puente.
Bye, Mr. Oscar Puente.
Say goodbye, Ian. You can't.
Goodbye.
Uncanny, both of us. Thanks to our producers, Nate, Jeff, Andy, Tom, Mark, and Johnny. Yay! Said them all. Bye.
Ian, we love you. Hope you feel well.
No, I don't.